What did you do in school today? I ask my child that every day, and he usually answers the question of nothing. It was boring. He's a teenager. He gives me the blank stare. So I dig a little deeper, and sometimes I get the great answer from him. He says, maybe we had recess or phys ed. What happened to those days when our kids were in elementary and they came home racing in to tell you how amazing their day was and all the learning they did? What did we change when our kids went to high school and they had the blank stare? I was that kid. I went to a technical vocational school. Every course you could possibly imagine we had at this school. I did English, math, sciences. We even had courses on hairdressing. You could get a degree. We had auto body, drafting. I received both level 1 and 2 in childcare in the daycare of our school. We had a variety for phys ed. We had archery, rifle range. Yes, they were both in the basement of the school. We did curling. We had diving. And I even took a history course on China. We studied China. We learned about their history. We went there for 15 days. And still, I was a blank-faced teenager at home. You see, I was bored. You can give me any variety of classes you want, but it's still not enough if you're doing the exact same thing. You see, I was that kid in your class. I would be the irritating little bratty one causing problems, but the smart one that would still get 100%. And see, it took a teacher to find me and realize that maybe in their wisdom I should be moved out of the classroom so I could work independently and fast track my own learning and have fun while I did that. This became my view as a teacher. I want everybody in high school to be having fun. Now, my first years of high school teaching, I went back to my same old school. I know I ruffled several feathers there, because the first day of my chemistry class, I threw out the textbook. You see, I don't think textbooks should be used as much. They're a resource. They aren't the course. I want my kids to actually look at the evidence and find the theories on their own. So I started making my class fun for my students by doing hands-on learning. That was the easiest process for me to do. I'm a science teacher. I like to do discovery and experimenting, so I figured the kids should. So we did labs to find our theories instead of the other way around. I started with small things and then grew bigger. In my math class, I got rid of all tests and quizzes. In my classes, all you do are a unit check-in. Now, a unit check-in is open book with a calculator. I know right now you're thinking back to childhood. Yes, calculators and open book is allowed in math. I'm not testing you on a rote question. I'm testing long answers. There's 5 marks to this question. It's the steps that you have to get to the final answer. I give my students 4 marks for showing me their steps, seeing how their brain sees the question and the steps to it, and not just what the answer is. For me, math is a process. It's not the answer. I want to know how your brain sees the solution. And again, it's like we've learned there's more than one way to solve a problem, unlike a textbook would tell you. Sometimes when you look, you see a duck. And sometimes you see the rabbit. But both are the correct answer. A different process. In mathematics, my students have fun because they get to decide how they get to the answer. In my class, as I'm writing questions on the board, you're always hearing me say, okay, this is how my brain sees it. My brain's different. How's yours seeing the solution? I want them to enjoy the discovery, the innovation. The rote learning is out of math. Now, even in my science classes, and I do teach chemistry, physics, biology, geology, you name the science, I teach them all because I'm in a small school. We got rid of the tests there too. In my classes, we do performance tasks at the end of a unit. Here, the students get to pick their project. They have to find something they can show me, develop, that shows all of the information from that unit. For example, in our chemistry class, we do the gas laws. Now, this meant at the end of the unit, after we've studied all the information, the kids could make a project. We had some great things in our classroom this year. I had blimps flying around my room. I had kids in the pool doing scuba diving. We had rockets being launched to space, and in the far off corner of the field, I had a potato launcher. You're not allowed to have one of those, but we had a potato launcher. I even had 2 girls that discovered you could run a hovercraft with a leaf blower. They made one. That's taking the gas laws. That's taking chemistry. That's going deeper. And their learning becomes fun, and they enjoy their choices. See, for me, it's always about fun. In physics class, we're outside. We create trebuchets. Now, this is a great physics, math, information learning, but you know what? Most of the learning here happened in social studies, because we needed to know what a trebuchet was compared to a catapult. I know you're thinking, what's the difference? We're always outside as a class. My students love being in nature. I'm lucky to have a backyard that they can be out there at all times. You see, I'm known in my school as a teacher that will let their kids do almost anything. You just have to ask me. I believe personalized learning should be the way. And I enjoy that my kids have fun when they get to pick their projects. Now, this reminds me of my favorite project we ever did. Several years ago, I had a group of students. They watched a video on YouTube. They saw a school launched a balloon to space. And they did the thing they need to do. Hey, Miss McKnight, could we? And of course, I said, yes. Why not? Let's try. Now, this is where the fun and all the learning began. Because myself and all the teachers, we don't know how to send a balloon to space. We cannot teach you. We can only facilitate the learning. We had to go to our community. We need to actually get out of the classroom and learn. Our kids had to start at the baby steps. We needed to have an antenna, so they were soldering. Learning right there, hands-on. We had to figure out what we were going to send to space, how we were going to send it to space, how we were going to get it back. We wanted to make a payload. We wanted experiments in the payload. We wanted it to go to space, have it come back. We needed to make a parachute. We needed to track it. My kids had to develop the skills that I don't have. They are ham radio specialists. I'm not. We needed to find what balloon goes to space. How do you fill the balloon? They found weather balloons. We filled them with helium. The learning here is evident. You can see it from my kids. Their excitement. They come before school. They came after school. They came weekends. They gave up their extra time to learn how to launch a balloon. You could see the excitement on their face, especially when the fact that they got up at 5 a.m. on a cold morning in the middle of Manitoba, Canada, to launch a balloon to space. We didn't know what we were doing, but we were lucky. Our first try, this balloon went up into space. The kids were sitting back and we could watch it, and we saw it go all the way up. With telescopes and binoculars, we could see it at its high point. It was at 127,000 feet when it exploded, and it came back down. These kids learned everything you could in one project. You've got your sciences here. We've got our physics. We've got our math. You know what? They even learned how to do writing because they had to fund this project. We didn't do it. They needed to come up with $10,000. They grant wrote for that. We had them do all the learning. We just helped them along the way. And the fun was evident every day. We got pictures from the curvature of the earth. So I would ask you, if you had a choice of learning about science or about space from a textbook, or would you rather learn about it like my kids did? Now, these are live footage from the payload when it came down. You can see the excitement on my kids' face. The learning happened. They were successful. And sadly, it would be nicer if it was in BC. You'd have better views, but Manitoba's flat, and it's there. You can see us. It gets up to 127,000 feet. That's an amazing height. And then the balloon naturally will shred because they're meant to shred at that height. I will mention also the video there was produced by the students. So I'm going to end with one little statement for you. And it's a hashtag quote from Einstein that having fun is the best way to learning. So please make sure your teenager is having fun in school, and let's change it so that they're always learning. Thank you.